The moment Nathan Parker looked up from the restaurant menu and saw who was standing in front of his table, his heart stopped so violently he thought the entire room could hear it. The soft, golden lights of the small Italian restaurant in downtown Chicago blurred around him. His fingers tightened around the edge of the tablecloth. Across the room, walking toward him with hesitant steps and searching eyes, was the last person he ever expected to see on a blind date. It was Sophie Whitmore. Not just any Sophie. Sophie Whitmore, the daughter of his company's powerful CEO, and she was smiling at him like she didn't recognize him at first, until their eyes locked. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one moment can change an entire life, take a second to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. Nathan's throat went dry. He had almost canceled tonight. He nearly stayed home with his 8-year-old son Caleb, eating frozen pizza and helping with homework. Blind dates were for people who had the luxury of time and emotional energy. He had neither. 3 years earlier, Nathan's world had shattered when his wife passed away after a sudden illness. One hospital room, one beeping machine, one final breath that left him alone with a terrified little boy and a future he didn't know how to carry. Since then, life had become a constant balancing act. Early mornings, school drop-offs, long hours at Whitmore Enterprises, late-night laundry, homework battles, quiet tears in the bathroom so Caleb wouldn't see. He worked as a senior financial analyst at Whitmore Enterprises, a prestigious firm headquartered in Chicago's business district. It was a place filled with sharp suits, sharper minds, and constant pressure. And at the very top of that world sat Gregory Whitmore, a man known for discipline, perfection, and an intimidating silence that could make seasoned executives tremble. Nathan respected him, feared him maybe, but respected him. He had never seen Sophie Whitmore in person before, only in framed photos in the CEO's office, graduation photos, charity gala pictures, smiling beside her father at corporate events. He had no idea the blind date his coworker arranged was with her. Sophie stopped at the table. Recognition flashed across her face, a flicker of surprise. Then something else, curiosity. Nathan stood too quickly, nearly knocking over his chair. Heat rushed up his neck. His mind screamed that this was a disaster waiting to happen. Dating your boss's daughter, in Chicago's most competitive corporate environment, it felt like career suicide. But Sophie didn't turn around. She didn't apologize and leave. Instead, she sat down slowly, her posture calm but her eyes thoughtful. Nathan could feel the weight of the situation pressing against his chest. He imagined Monday morning headlines in the office, whispered conversations, the CEO's cold stare. He had spent years building stability for his son. He couldn't afford to lose his job. He had grown up with nothing in rural Ohio, a small house, a single mother working 2 jobs. He knew what instability did to a child. He refused to let Caleb experience that fear. The waiter came and left. The restaurant buzzed with soft music and laughter. But inside Nathan's head, a storm raged. Sophie, however, seemed unexpectedly grounded. There was no arrogance in her posture, no air of entitlement. She listened when he spoke about Caleb. She smiled gently when he mentioned his late wife. And when he described the chaotic mornings of packing lunches and tying shoelaces, her expression softened in a way that felt painfully sincere. Nathan began to realize something unsettling. She wasn't there because she was bored. She was there because she wanted something real. As the evening unfolded, Sophie revealed pieces of her own life, not with bitterness but with quiet honesty. Growing up under the shadow of a titan like Gregory Whitmore meant expectations, scrutiny, and constant comparison. Her life had been structured, polished, and scheduled. Appearances mattered. Emotions were secondary. She had studied art history instead of finance, disappointing her father in ways never openly discussed. She volunteered at community centers instead of attending high-profile galas whenever she could. She longed for something grounded, something unpolished and human. Nathan's world, messy and imperfect, intrigued her. But intrigue didn't erase reality. By the time dessert arrived, Nathan's internal conflict was suffocating him. He imagined Gregory Whitmore's reaction if he ever found out. The man who controlled promotions, salaries, futures. Nathan's promotion review was in 2 weeks. He could not afford misinterpretation. When the night ended, the Chicago air felt colder than usual. Sophie hugged herself against the wind. Nathan walked her to her car, every step heavy with unspoken thoughts. He told himself this would be a one-time thing, a story to laugh about later, a mistake best not repeated. But life rarely obeys safe decisions. 2 days later, Nathan was called into the executive floor. His stomach dropped as he stepped into Gregory Whitmore's office. The skyline stretched behind the CEO like a symbol of power. The older man stood near the window, hands clasped behind his back. Nathan braced for impact. But Gregory didn't yell. He didn't threaten. Instead, he turned slowly and studied Nathan with sharp, calculating eyes. There was silence, long enough to make Nathan's pulse pound in his ears. Then something unexpected happened. Gregory asked about Caleb, not in a dismissive way, not as a weapon, genuinely. Nathan answered carefully, confused. Gregory listened. Then he did something even more shocking. He sighed. The powerful CEO confessed, in his own restrained manner, that he had built an empire but failed to build closeness with his daughter. He had provided everything except warmth. And when Sophie mentioned meeting someone who spoke about fatherhood with pride and exhaustion and devotion, Gregory recognized something he himself had neglected. Nathan realized the blind date wasn't the disaster he feared. It was a mirror. Gregory didn't forbid the relationship. He didn't threaten Nathan's position. He simply said that if Nathan ever hurt Sophie, professionally or personally, consequences would follow. It wasn't intimidation. It was a father trying, awkwardly, to protect his child. The weeks that followed were cautious, but hopeful. Sophie met Caleb at a park near Lake Michigan on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Nathan had never been more nervous, but Caleb, shy at first, quickly warmed up when Sophie knelt down to his level and asked about dinosaurs with genuine interest. She didn't try to impress him, she just listened. Nathan watched from a distance, something fragile and long buried stirring in his chest. Hope. Not the reckless kind, the steady kind. Life didn't transform overnight. There were still corporate pressures. There were still whispers in the office. Some colleagues speculated about favoritism. Nathan worked harder than ever to ensure his performance spoke for itself. Sophie continued volunteering, inviting Nathan and Caleb to join when they could. Slowly, their worlds intertwined. Not in glamorous boardrooms, but in community centers, school events, and quiet dinners at home. Gregory remained reserved, but he began attending small family gatherings, watching his daughter laugh freely, watching Nathan help Caleb with homework at the dining table. For the first time, he saw something beyond profit margins. One winter evening, nearly a year after that first shocking blind date, Nathan stood outside his modest Chicago home as snow fell softly around him. Through the window, he saw Sophie helping Caleb decorate a small Christmas tree. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't a corporate gala. It was simple, and it was everything. Nathan realized that sometimes the most terrifying moments, the ones that make your heart freeze, are not warnings of disaster. They are invitations to change. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who believes that love can show up in the most unexpected ways. And before we reach the end, I have a special request. Comment the word hope if you believe that even broken chapters can lead to beautiful new beginnings. Because Nathan's story isn't about wealth or status, it's about courage, about risking stability for connection, about a powerful father learning humility, about a little boy gaining not a replacement, but another person to love him. It's about understanding that second chances don't erase the past. They honor it by building something stronger on its foundation. And if this story moved you even a little, don't scroll away silently. Like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Your engagement helps these stories reach hearts that may need them tonight. Sometimes the blind date you almost cancel becomes the miracle you never saw coming. And sometimes, the person you fear the most becomes part of the family you prayed for.